Hi, my name is Tammy,
And I'm Jen.
and they call us Woo. Welcome back, everybody. Today we're talking about sound healing. I'm very
Woohoo!
excited about this, even though Jen thinks that she's not super knowledgeable about this. She thinks she's not super knowledgeable about a lot of things that she is. So today we're actually, she uses a lot of sound healing in her practice. So whether it be just her own meditation practices or working with clients or whatever the case may be, she uses it a lot, and she's done some really cool things before with different instruments, and they have different things that they do and different things that they help with. Oftentimes she's guided to use these things. Sometimes, it's just things that are being channeled from her, or, her guides are telling her this person needs this or that. So a lot of it is super intuitive, but I've certainly encountered things that you use, Jen, that I've never seen in my life before. So,
Really? Huh.
yeah. I don't know what that triangular thing is that you use. I don't know what that's called, but it's really cool. So yeah, I'm going to let you take it away and share a little bit about some of the stuff that you use, and maybe we can hear a little bit of a sound, smattering of sound healing in this today too.
You will definitely hear a smattering of sounds. Many of them may come out of my mouth. So Tammy brought up the crystal pyramid. I actually have to turn on a certain setting so that you guys will be able to hear this. So I have a crystal pyramid that I use, and I actually broke the strap on it the other day. I was working on somebody and it twisted and it snapped. And so I don't have the thing on it, but you'll still be able to hear it. So it is a crystal pyramid, and when I'm working with people, I love it so much. I do. This is one of my favorites, actually.
It made me feel
ringing.
warm when you did that. Warm, and
Yeah.
I got little energetic things happening in my arms. That was cool.
Like little pricklies.
Yeah, kind of.
So when I use that, it's interesting because I can see the energy coming off of it, and sometimes it will be used as like a vacuum for people's energy field. So when I'm working, when I actually have the strap on there, it will spin over people's chakras. So we've talked about chakras in the past and how they have a specific spin to them. So sometimes it will spin with the chakras, and when it gets to a chakra that's closed, it will either stop or it will start spinning in another direction. All on its own, just because of the energy it spins. And it works like a vacuum because it has, because it's hollow in the center. Sometimes it will draw the energy up into it as it's spinning, and then it helps create balance within that energetic vibration. Cool. So because of the frequency, because of the pitch, it interacts with the energy of the body to bring you to a more higher vibratory state. So it's like resonance. So it's trying to bring you to the same pitch, the same frequency, the same vibration. So that one's one of my favorite ones because you can go over the body and do that.
Different tones to it. So do the different tones have different frequencies?
So these are the questions that I will tell you that I'm not the most skilled at answering. Mm-hmm. I just do what I'm called to do. I know that everything vibrates at a different level. So when you have a different note, it's a different vibration. Mm-hmm. Frequencies are different, and this is where I get confused on things. So I'm going to say that I don't know the answer to that. Okay. But I know that frequency and vibration are slightly different. Mm-hmm. And so the different tones, the different notes that you're getting, I know that the vibration is at a certain vibratory rate. So when we do sound healing or toning for ourselves, toning is just where you're allowing whatever note to come out of your body needs to come out. So it would be like or some people will do om, or different sounds. Mm-hmm. And the vibration of that interacts with the vibration of your own body. So everybody has a specific vibration that they're typically at. So somebody might be at this vibration and somebody might be at this vibration. So how do I normally explain this? When you walk into a room and you walk in and there's 100 people in the room and you're just like, all of a sudden you're like, I need to talk to that person right over there. Like you beeline it to this person because you can just feel that there's somebody you want to talk to. It's usually because their vibration is at a similar vibration to you, so you mesh well together. Whereas somebody who's at a completely different or a sporadic vibration even, you're going to have a hard time fitting your vibration into that. So what happens with sound healing a lot of the time is your vibration tends to want to match and fit into that frequency or that vibration. And it attempts to bring you up to that level. So just like if somebody is in a really bad place, a lot of the time they'll try to bring people down to their level. Or if somebody's really, really happy, they tend to try to bring people up to their level. It's the same thing with sound. We want to match that vibration. So it will draw you in and try to bring you to that frequency or that vibration. With this in particular, one of the things that I've noticed, and this is going to get into the little bit more woo-woo side of things other than just sound and happiness, it can also open up portals and vortexes within the energetic field. So it can, depending on the spin of it and depending on how I'm using it, I have seen where it will actually open up a portal or a space for us to collect low vibrational energy or energies we're attempting to get rid of, to place it so that it can be transmuted, so that it can be broken down and reused in a more positive way. So it will just open up this space
like
for it to go somewhere else.
recycling system.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that.
So that's one of the things that I use. But I also use singing bowls a lot in my practice. So one of my first sound healing gifts that anybody ever gave to me was this lovely singing bowl. So there's different types of singing bowls, which I'll talk a little bit about. Because I want to, because I love talking about things. But so this one's hand hammered. It's actually it's a metal singing bowl. You can see that. But it's hand
Are they
hammered.
usually metal? I feel like those are the ones I usually see.
Not always.
Oh,
they can be
interesting.
made out of so many different stones, crystals, metals. Yeah, there's a lot of different ones. But so this one's hand hammered.
Tried one once and I did not do a very good job. I need to try. I need to try them again.
So it's funny because with singing bowls, this singing bowl has taught me a lot. That's why it was my very first one, but it is my very favorite one. Sorry, you guys. All of the singing bowls are on me. Sorry. I do have my favorites. But so the singing bowl, because it's hand hammered, has like little divots and grooves in it. And so when you're playing it, you have to be very, very intentional with your energy and very intentional with how you're using the mallet around it. Because if you go too fast or you're not paying attention to what you're doing, it bounces on the outside of it and it clanks and clings and sometimes it won't play. And so it taught me that when you're playing a singing bowl, part of the meditation piece of it, part of the energetic piece of it is the intentionality of what you're doing.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah, because you're focusing your energy. Like that's part of meditation is focusing your energy in a specific location. And when you're using a singing bowl, if you're not focused, you're not getting the quality, you're not getting the tones that you're looking for.
That totally makes sense to me because, you know, all the meditative practices that involve like labyrinths or, you know, things like that, they're all very like soothing, very, what what's the word I'm looking for? You're doing like the same movement, the same flow, and you
Yeah.
can kind of just like zen out with it. So that makes sense. And that's
Yeah.
honestly why I did a terrible job the first time, because I saw it in a store and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. I knew what they were at that point. I just never played one. And I basically just thunked around in there with the mallet, and I was like, that's not how it's supposed to sound.
Well, the other part of it, though, is that not every singing bowl is right for every person at that given moment. So there are days that I will pick up my singing bowls, because I have a fair number of singing bowls in my house. Most of them are metal. I have days that I pick them up and they won't play for me.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I can usually pick up a singing bowl wherever I go and pick it up and just play it. Like I've gotten used to it. I've used them for a long time. But there are days that my energy is not right, and the singing bowl's like, nope, you are not playing me today.
Okay.
And so even when I used to do like expos, I would sell singing bowls at my table, and I would have people come over. I'm like, play with it, play with it, play with it. And there would be people, like adults who've been meditating for years. They know exactly how to play them. They'd come and they would pick it up and it would not play for them. The ones that I thought were the easiest to play, even, like I have these singing bowls that are like cast, and I think they're ceramic. I'm not sure. But they would pick them up and they wouldn't be able to play them. And then there would be like a 5-year-old kid would come up right behind them and start playing it. And it would let out this beautiful tone that would just resonate through the whole building. And everybody's like, what the heck did that kid do that she didn't do?
That's interesting.
And it was just the energy of that person in that moment wasn't right for that specific bowl.
And that makes sense. That's kind of makes sense with all of the other things that we know. Even, when we were talking about like pendulums and all these natural materials that do have their own energy and their own purpose, I guess you could say. And that makes sense that sometimes if it's not working, maybe it's just not right for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have the hand hammered bowl here. Like you can see in the light, probably those who are watching, that there's like divots and grooves. It's just like if you have a ring that's been hand hammered, or any type of like, a lot of people will do copper artwork that's been hand hammered. That's what it looks like. It just has like the divots and grooves. And then I have another one that is not hand hammered. It's some of them are cast, and when they're cast, they're completely smooth. Some of them are hand hammered and then they're smoothed out by hand too, but they usually have a little bit thinner material, and they'll still have those divots, those hammering marks in them.
Okay.
And then I have this one, like I said, I'm not sure if this is ceramic or what this is made out of. But I know that if you drop it on the floor, it breaks. So don't do that. And then I'm gonna try to pick this one up and show the people who can actually see. But I have a fairly large crystal singing bowl that's over here as well. And
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So
it's
just
gigantic.
To describe this to the people that are listening, Jen could pretty much like sit in it and have a bath.
That's not true. It's not that big.
Well, it was definitely, you could definitely at least put your upper body, your like head, neck, and shoulders into
my
it.
head, neck, and shoulders, yes. That one I think is a 12-inch or a 13-inch bowl. So the top of it, across it, like 12 or 13 inches. So that one is another one of my favorites. It was actually a gift from somebody who closed a healing center, and she knew that I had a healing center and asked if I would be willing to use it in my space, because she was gifted the bowl by a Native American elder that had a singing bowl, which I thought was an interesting thing because that's not who I would have thought would have had it, but she did. And so she passed it along. So I'm actually going to just do a little bit of playing so that you guys can all hear, but I have to turn the sound thingy on. So there we go.
Yes, please.
So I'm going to do the big crystal one first, and you can play them either by like doing a long stroke around the outside of the top of the bowl, or some people will actually just tap the bowl. So I'll do both. I typically will do around the outside of the bowl. I don't do a ton of tapping unless I'm doing like a whole sound bath type experience. But so this is the crystal bowl. And Tammy, just tell me if you can't hear them.
That was really cool.
Yeah, so that's that one. This one is my hand hammered bowl. And this one takes a little while sometimes. I don't know if you guys can hear like the mallet going around the outside, but it's starting to play. Can you hear that? So there's that one. Tapping on these ones is a little different. Because depending on if you hit like up at the top or if you hit at the side, it's going to give you a different sound.
Okay.
And then this is the smaller bowl that's not hand hammered. When I grabbed a different mallet. Whoops. That's okay. This one doesn't like this mallet. I'm switching mallets. Okay, so I'm talking about how sometimes bowls don't like you. For whatever reason, this bowl does not like me very much today, but you can hear like what it's like if we ping. Maybe I can place differently and then it will like me more, but it's not. Oh, that's a little better. So hopefully that doesn't like blow out the mic, but so that's one of the smaller metal bowls. And then this next bowl, the ceramic-y bowl, is actually the one that I think people have the easiest time playing. And I don't know if it's because of the coating that's on it, or if it's just because it's such a smooth surface. But so the tapping actually makes a really beautiful sound on this one. So those are the bowls that I have in front of me. Believe me, I have so many sound things in front of me right now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I think it was actually like the resonance from the bowls. I just wasn't supposed to talk right then. And it was interesting how different the tones were, but how I responded differently to different ones. And the funny thing is, the one that you're like doesn't want to play for me very well today, that one actually made me feel a little bit of like pressure and release from like my heart area. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, maybe that one was for me today. Thank you for that.
Probably because it was not making very much noise for me at all. And usually that one I have to stop playing before it gets to peak because it gets to be so loud for people in a room, like especially if you're in a small space. So I was trying to be careful with it anyway because it would probably blow out the mic sound.
Well, hopefully, I know some of them were a little louder than others, but hopefully we can get like a real feel and the audio doesn't, come out weird in the podcast so people can get a real feel for how those actually sound. And some of them were, louder, but had interesting variation in tones. And I just think that's fascinating how much different they can be depending on the material and the
Mhm.
size, and I didn't realize that there would be such a difference between like the hand hammered and the cast and stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's really
yeah.
cool.
Well, and the other thing when you're getting bowls, depending on if you're getting professional quality bowls or you're just getting um, like a bowl that a lot of people will buy their bowls off the internet, professional quality bowls actually are tuned to certain notes. So you can get a set that has specific notes that tie into certain chakras. So, um, when you said that your heart, you could feel it in your heart. That bowl might actually be playing at the right note for your heart chakra. So it's meant to open that area up. But different people will feel it in different areas
Sure.
based on what's going on in their body.
That makes sense. Yeah, a person that I've worked with before uses tuning forks, kind of the same thing you were describing as, and you've got them there. Yeah,
Yes,
being
I have
tuned to
one here.
like different resonances to do different things, which also is super cool to me because she's used them on me before, and it's interesting because sometimes she'll hit the fork to get it vibrating, and then she'll put it on a specific area of the body and how different it feels depending on where it is and which one she's using. And yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of acupuncturists will use them in their acupuncture. So they'll actually place a needle. Some will actually use a tuning fork to create a vibration in the needle.
That's
So
cool.
they'll hit the tuning fork and then they'll hold the tuning fork over the needle. I don't know that they actually touch it to the needle, but they might. And then some of them will use it to prep a point. So they'll tap the tuning fork, get it to vibrate, and then they'll place the end of the tuning fork on the specific point to stimulate the point before they actually place their needles.
Cool.
Yeah,
I have never experienced that, but that sounds awesome.
it is.
Really quick, you mentioned that you use some of these sometimes in a sound bath. Do you want to explain a little bit about what a sound bath is for people who have not experienced that before?
Yes. So a sound bath is when you're going into a space to do a meditation. Everybody comes in. I'm sure people do this differently, but come in and you lay down on yoga mats or you sit in comfortable chairs or in whatever position you're most comfortable in. And some sound baths are guided. So they'll have either like sound and frequency that will guide you. So they'll go very specific notes that lead you up into a certain state of being. And then they'll bring you back down slowly. Some of them, it's just very guided where you're laying there, you're relaxing, you're listening to the sounds, and whoever is doing the sound bath will use different tools to do specific notes based on the energy in the room at that time to break up certain energetic patterns and shift them out, or to bring people to a more relaxed state, or bring people to a higher conscious state of being where they're more present with their thoughts and they're more present with their ability to create. So I've done in a couple of different yoga practitioners, yogis, have asked me to come in and do them for their meditation before they start doing yoga. And so I set up all my singing bowls around me and I would just play different sounds while they were relaxing and getting prepared to do yoga. I've also done sound baths for clients while they're on the table where I'm using my drums to start to connect them to Mother Earth. And then so they're getting connected in, they're getting grounded in, they're getting rooted. And then I'll bring in the tuning forks and I'll bring in the singing bowls. And sometimes I'll put the singing bowls like over their heart, or I'll put the singing bowls over their chakras to stimulate movement in those areas. Or I can also just place them around people and it's just using sound and you're bathing them in sound. So the sound is completely engulfing them.
Cool.
and helping change the frequency and helping change what's going on in their body.
It's a one-woman guided concert.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
But I love that. And it's interesting, too, because if I'm not mistaken, singing bowls are an Eastern practice, or they came from
Yeah.
the East.
So,
I understand, like Thailand, China.
I was going to say this one, the hand hammered one that I was talking about, is a Tibetan bowl.
Okay.
So it was hand hammered in Tibet. And my understanding is that a lot of those practices started there.
Okay. That would make sense.
But they probably had them in other places too.
Sure.
That's just where I know that one came from anyway.
Well, that kind of goes back to the comment you made earlier where you weren't expecting that, a Native American. I'm not really entirely sure what's happening with my audio. Can you hear me?
Yep, now I can.
Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my microphone. Maybe I messed with it too much before I started. Anyway, it's kind of going back to what you were talking about earlier, where you said that you weren't expecting a Native American person to be passing this, crystal bowl along because it's not necessarily part of the traditional practices. However,
Yep.
it sounds like when you're doing the sound bath, you're using practices from, all over the globe, which is kind of awesome. I mean, really, even though, of course, there's cultural differences and reasons that people use different things, like when you're doing healing, different things might resonate with different people for different reasons. Yep. So that's really cool to use all of the things that you do.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it was bad on me that I had that judgment. Like it was one of those learning moments where the person who passed it along to me, she's the one who got it from the elder who passed it along to her. And even she said to me, she said, I wasn't expecting that she was going to give this to me. And so it was multiple people who had the same reaction that both of us had to look at our beliefs around. Mm-hmm. Oh, this isn't just a practice that specific people can use, which is hysterical when you think about it, because I use practices from so many different places. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my fears, is that people will be like, well, you're not supposed to be using that. Mm-hmm. And so it was a very big learning moment for me. And it was something that helped me open up and helped me look at, one, the stereotypes that I have and the thoughts that I have around what I can do and what I can't do. Mm-hmm. So it was a good conversation for me to have. And I mean, it's a good thing for other people to think about too, because we're all trying to assist other people in their healing, and
right.
Whatever practices we're called to use are the practices that we're being guided to use.
And I think it does go back to intention. I mean, certainly it's understandable why people feel very protective of their cultural practices sometimes, because it certainly can be mistreated or misused or misunderstood. But the reality is if you really do believe and understand that our culture in this current iteration of ourself is not necessarily the culture we've always had, and that there is beautiful things to experience. Like, to me, it's a celebration of a beautiful healing thing that's been passed down or discovered, versus like I'm going to put myself out there as like the person who created this or invented this, or I'm the best at this or whatever, right? Like, it's just, if the intention is to help and heal people, we certainly can't pass judgment on that. That's a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I mean, we've talked before about the drums that I use and the chanting that I do, which is also part of the healing that I do. When I'm channeling, there's other languages, there's other traditions that are coming through me. Mm-hmm. And so, like, one of the other things, I have another drum here because my other drums are at the office right now, but I have another drum here that's like an African drum, which typically I'm using hand drums when I'm healing. But I have all of these sound tools that are from all over the world, or all over different traditions, and they all work beautifully together. Like, and it kind of speaks to the energy that we all are, how we're all made up of the same energy. We're all a part of the whole. So with each one of these pieces, with each one of these different tools from all these different traditions, we're healing a piece of ourselves. It's just a larger piece of ourselves. And I think it's beautiful when you can use all of them together.
I agree. And it kind of reminds me of when we were talking before about grounding practices and how grounding music can be. But music has always been a really important part of being human. You know, just the connection to each other through celebration. Like, music is a part of important things. Music is a part of weddings. It's a part of funerals. It's a part of religious celebrations. There's a lot of beautiful things that happen within music that it can mean a lot of different things. Like, I am definitely one of those people that I can watch music or dancing or whatever, and I could just be like a ball of tears because I just think it's so beautiful. But how important that is, like how ingrained in our DNA that is, to use music as something to celebrate and heal and connect. And music is something that I feel like a lot of cultures feel very happy about sharing with other people, you know? So I think that's really cool, the variety of stuff that you use and how important that can be for, not just for, you know, like, we don't always know why music moves us the way we do. But with some of these practices that you use, like how you can actually feel specific things happening in your body that you maybe wouldn't have noticed just listening to music. I think that's awesome. Do you want to show us a few more things?
I certainly can. Well, do we want to see... Oh gosh, I have so many things still in front of me.
We might need to break this up into two.
So I have Tingshas in front of me, which a lot of people will know these as hand cymbals. So in a lot of yogi practices, in a lot of meditation practices, they will end the meditation with either a bell or like a cymbal or a chime. And Tingshas are those. These ones that I have are actually auspicious symbol ones. They are they're ones that are specifically made for connecting you to the wholeness, bringing you back to centered, bringing you back to your wholeness. I have other ones that are for protection. So they have a different sound to them, a different note. And it triggers your energetic field. It triggers you to go into a specific space. So this is like bringing you back to that balanced space, reconnecting you to the whole. And like when I ring the protection one, a lot of the time it's for people who've really been struggling to set boundaries, or they're really struggling to feel safe in a space. So when we use that bell, it will clear a lot of the fear energies from their system and call in the energy of their power and allowing them to stay in control of their situation. So they all call in different energies. Turn my sound back on and I will ring these. These ones can be loud. You can play them either two ways. Some people will cling them together like at the edges, which can be hard sometimes, or you can go down and they sound about the same either way. But I love the way that they sound and the way that they help bring people back after a meditation as well. Some people will use the bells in meditation specifically to signify the end of the meditation, and to call you back into your human body when you've been out and about going around
the astral plane for a while.
Exactly. So a couple of the other bells that I have three little hand bells. It's just a little bit higher tone. And then this is one of my favorites because it's lower tones. For whatever reason, lower tones get me. They just bring me so deeply into my body. That's a little bit higher tone.
It's just a little tiny little noise.
Yeah, they're little fairy bells. So I will actually tell parents if they have kids who have night terrors or they have nightmares a lot, or they wake up and they think that there's beings in their room, they're seeing things in their room, to put a bell next to their bed, because bells are really good at clearing energy and calling your power back in.
Yeah, I think we mentioned this briefly before, that you had a friend whose daughter used it regularly and it made a big difference for her. It's kind of interesting too, now that we have a bell in our space that we actually got from you, how much my daughter's kind of drawn to it too, where if there's, say there's been like an argument or something happened that is just created a little bit of tension in the space, people are having a bad day, whatever, she'll actually go and grab it, which is interesting. I didn't think she would be that attracted to it, but I love it. I mean, I could listen to it all day long.
Does she ring it at you, or does she just go and ring it?
No, like, she just goes and rings it afterwards. Like, maybe we should do this. And then, yeah, my cat is just indifferent. He looks at it like, and then, he's like, whatever. If doesn't bother him, so that's good. It doesn't like mess with him or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. My husband doesn't really think to use it, but it was interesting to me how quickly she was drawn to it.
Yeah.
And it does feel for her, like you said, I think like she's in a little bit more control of the situation by being able to actively clear energy and clean the space out.
Yeah. Yeah. My fiance has a bell like hanging from his mirror in his car, and it was his pet bird's bell in his cage when they were young. Mm-hmm. And so it has a lot of significant meaning for him. But this bell has the best tone. I love that bell so much. And I'm like a cat. If there's something dangling in front of me, I'm going to play with it. I have always played with things that people have hanging from their mirrors. I will sit in the passenger seat and play with it. And so sometimes we'll be in the car and I'll just reach up and I'll just ding the bell a little bit. And one of his kids said to me the other day, "Jen, you haven't rung the bell in a while. Why not?" And I was like, oh, I didn't even notice that they noticed that I did that. But she's like, "Are you going to ring the bell?" And so obviously it's made a difference. Mm-hmm. Like the kids have noticed, like maybe they just noticed that it's weird. I don't know.
Well, it kind of sounded like she wanted you to ring the bell.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So now, like, if anything's going on in the car, if I know that somebody's having a crappy day, or if somebody's a little bit crabby, or something's going on with traffic and people are getting agitated in traffic, I will ring the bell because I know that it's going to shift the energy in the car. Mm-hmm. So I've also told a lot of my clients, especially if they're people who have road rage, to put a bell in their car. So if they're feeling like they need to clear some energy, to clear it.
That's a good idea.
A lot of my professional clients, I had them put bells in their office. So if they had a really bad meeting, or somebody came in and yelled at them about whatever was happening in the office, they could ring the bell quick and clear the energy. Nobody needed to know what was going on. You just quick ring the bell and it shifts the energy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, do you have a lot more things you want to show us? Should we continue this in another episode, or do you think we have time for it today?
I will just show you one more thing because you guys have heard the drums before. So,
because I'm all for hearing all the things. I'm just figuring out, we're trying our hardest to cut these down a little bit so people aren't like, oh my gosh, you did another hour-long episode. So, that's it.
No. So the last thing that I have here is actually a rain stick. And so there are a lot of shaman that I know that use rain sticks to create the energy of washing away the stuff that we don't want to hold anymore. So it's kind of like a sound bath with like a rain stick. So I will play that for you guys,
Okay.
which everybody's probably played these when they were little kids.
I
They were
remember.
probably, yeah. So sound back on.
It's so much
For those
fun.
who aren't watching
and I
my
kind of have to
face.
go to the bathroom, so I was like, sorry.
No,
Go ahead.
sorry, Tammy. No, but for those
Just
who aren't
another
watching,
TMI moment.
for whatever reason, using the rain stick makes me make stupid faces. So if you're just listening, just go watch, because I'm sure I was like opening my mouth and like doing weird things with my eyes. And I don't know what it is about them, but it just makes me get silly.
It's the musician face, right? Like I'm sure we've all seen the live bands where someone's really getting into their instrument and they're making like the weirdest faces, but it doesn't matter because they're like way in it.
Yeah. I don't know that I would say that it was like that. It was kind of goofy.
That's
But
right.
no, so all of these tools can be used for clearing your own energy. They can be used to clear other people's energy. Like you can use it to clear space. It's just a beautiful opportunity for us to connect with sound. I mean, you can always make sounds with your mouth as well. Singing is a good way to clear energy. Chanting, any type of prayer is a good way to clear energy. Like all of those things are putting sound out.
That's true. That's a good way to think about it. I guess I never thought about that, but yeah, any amount of sound that you're making can be part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I challenge everybody to go and find one instrument, whether it's your voice or whether it's the countertop to drum on, or if you want to do butt bongos like my sister used to do when I was a kid. Any of those things will work to help with shifting your energy and getting some extra sound in your life.
I love that. Thank you for sharing all of the cool things that you have too. It was really beautiful to hear all those.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Of course. And we will see you all next week.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you liked what you heard today, please subscribe and check the show description for the links to the show. We would love to hear your thoughts below on this episode, as well as anything that you'd like us to talk about on future episodes. Remember, everybody, you are unique just the way you are, and that is why they call us Woo.